Who will come out tops in the MTN8 Quarterfinals battle between Mamelodi Sundowns and Richards Bay? As you know that Mamelodi Sundowns are hosting Richards Bay in the MTN8 Quarterfinals that is taking place on Sunday, the 3rd of August 2025 at LETHU Stadium in Pretoria. You'd know that Mamelodi Sundowns qualified to be in the MTN8 top 8 by finishing first on the log. Of course, they won their 8th successive league title, and Richards Bay finished number 8 in the top 8. That is why then Mamelodi Sundowns are going to play against Richards Bay. So do you think Richards Bay will have enough in their tank? Will they have enough in their tank to be able to hold Mamelodi Sundowns and even cause an upset? Or do you think Mamelodi Sundowns are just way too good? Just way too good for Richards Bay? And even in terms of the records, the previous meetings would see that Mamelodi Sundowns have always dominated this clash between the two teams. So to think things are about to change or this will remain as they are, okay? But before I go deep on it, let me just greet you guys and welcome to the platform. My name is Teboho Mokoena and the name of the platform is iDiski LETHU TV. So let's get to it, guys. Go to your comment sections and tell me your predictions. Tell me your predictions. And you'd know that Mamelodi Sundowns, for some strange reason, Mamelodi Sundowns have not always performed well when it comes to the MTN8. To an extent that you even hear Mamelodi Sundowns fans, I think they take it from the former coach Teboho Mokoena, who always said for him, the MTN8 trophy is just like a pre-season. That's what Teboho Mokoena used to say when I was coaching Mamelodi Sundowns, that he'd always view the MTN8 more of a pre-season tournament. But of course, we know that technically and in reality, the MTN8 is not a pre-season. The MTN8, it is the tournament that kicks off the season. It is part of the official trophies. It's not a pre-season trophy. You know, we used to have the Telecom Charity Cup. Those are ones that we used to, of course, that regarded as the pre-season tournaments. So the MTN8 is an official tournament. So, and as I've said that for some strange reason, Mamelodi Sundowns have always struggled in the MTN8. Remember last season how they struggled to beat Mamelodi City in the quarterfinals. Of course, you know, Mamelodi Sundowns went on to defeat Mamelodi City in that match in extra time. But in extra time, they defeated Mamelodi City by 1-0. A goal that was actually an own goal. Then, you know, subsequently in the semifinals, Mamelodi Sundowns lost to Stellenbosch on both legs. You know that MTN8 semifinals contain two legs, okay? It becomes a home leg and an away leg. So Mamelodi Sundowns, they lost both the legs. So you then realize that, but actually Sundowns, they tend to struggle. So do you think that will inspire the fact that Mamelodi Sundowns tend to struggle when it comes to the MTN8? Do you think that will give confidence to Richards Bay to say somehow they stand a chance? Somehow they stand a chance of causing an upset against Mamelodi Sundowns, a very strong Mamelodi Sundowns. Of course, Mamelodi Sundowns, there's no question. There's no question or doubt that Mamelodi Sundowns are the best team in South Africa. And for 8 years in running, Mamelodi Sundowns have been the best team in South Africa. You see, because you look at their league dominance, because that's how big teams are measured in terms of how they perform when it comes to the leagues. So of course, Mamelodi Sundowns are the best team in South Africa. Even look at the fact that when it comes to the national team, they are the ones that provided the most players to the South Africa's national team, Bafana Bafana. And that very same Bafana Bafana has been doing quite well. And we owe it that much even to Mamelodi Sundowns for that. So you look at Richards Bay, look at Mamelodi Sundowns. Of course, the odds are against Richards Bay. The odds are against Richards Bay. But do you think, because football being football, you know, football has its own way, right? Football has its own way of doing things, right? Football has its own way of doing things. So do you guys think somehow Richards Bay can cause an upset that a lot of people are not expecting to see unfold? Do you think we are in for a surprise, or it's just going to be the norm of Sundowns dominating Richards Bay? Because that is also one thing that we've realized, but specifically when it comes to the league matches, Mamelodi Sundowns hardly struggles against the smaller teams such as Richards Bay. The likes of Richards Bay will give a hard time to teams like Orlando Pirates and Kaizer Chiefs. But when it comes to Mamelodi Sundowns, Mamelodi Sundowns are able to dispatch with such teams quite easily. Quite easily. That is why from where I'm seated, I do not see Richards Bay being able to cause an upset against Mamelodi Sundowns. You look at who were the Richards Bay key attackers this past season, or for the past 2 to 3 seasons. It was Ntsundwana, who has of course left. Ntsundwana has left Richards Bay. He has now joined Chippa United. So they've lost Ntsundwana, and they've lost their top goal scorer in this past season, which is Yanela Mbutum. So you look at the players that they've lost in terms of their attack. So then you realize that then it just makes things difficult for anyone to can oversee them overcoming Mamelodi Sundowns and ultimately causing an upset. We've all seen that Mamelodi Sundowns under Coach Miguel Cardoso are becoming a well-oiled machine now. You will look at how they played at the FIFA Club World Cup. Of course, they may have not progressed to the next stage, which is the last 16 at the Club World Cup, but they never embarrassed themselves. They gave a very good account of themselves. So when you look at all those things, the type of football that Mamelodi Sundowns played, the quality that Mamelodi Sundowns have in their team, the potent attack, right? The potent attack that they have of Lucas Ribeiro and Ikram Reyners, right? So you look at that and you realize that, also, not just that, Richards Bay, they've also lost their key left back, Nkosi Konandaba, who has joined Orlando Pirates. So when you look at all those dynamics and factors, then you realize that actually this is going to be too much of a mountain. This is going to be too much of a mountain for Richards Bay to be able to climb. Or to think maybe the fact that Mamelodi Sundowns did not have much, right? Mamelodi Sundowns did not have much of a pre-season, because you'd remember that they only had about 2 weeks of a pre-season because of the fact that they were partaking in the FIFA Club World Cup, even in terms of the rest. Them resting because they played a lot of matches. Remember, they even went all the way to the CAF Champions League finals, where they lost to Pyramids. So when you look at all those dynamics, do you think maybe that's what could work into Richards Bay's favor? That would work into Richards Bay's favor, that maybe fatigue for Mamelodi Sundowns, that they did not have enough rest. Because in terms of the quality, there's no question, there's no debate around the quality that Mamelodi Sundowns has compared to Richards Bay. But of course, just having big name players and quality alone is not enough. You still need to apply yourself on the field of play. So to think in terms of the effort, that maybe that's what can win the match for Richards Bay. Let me hear your views. But my own undertaking on this matter, I see Mamelodi Sundowns defeating Richards Bay by 3-0. That's my prediction. Let me hear your prediction on the comment section, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in. Please, guys, remember to subscribe, like, share, and comment.